And here we go. Like it is. So let's see if the sound is working. Oops, got to turn this off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA. We're going to be talking about direct mail today and print. So hang with me till the end. This is going to be good. I think it's going to be really worthwhile. I've got a really powerful article at the end by Deborah Korn, and it's really, really well done. But anyway, let's get over to the fun. Here's something Elon Musk tweeted the other day. It says, hey, artificial intelligence, why do you always wear that mask? And so this person's talking to this person over here. And it says machine learning, and they have a mask. There's strings over there. And so the person reaches over and flips up the mask, and underneath it says statistics. And then the person says, let's just keep that on. Okay, and if you've followed me for any length of time, you know that artificial intelligence is a term, a generic term that goes back to the 1950s when we started playing around with calculating machines. And, you know, there was speculation someday machines would be able to think intelligently. There doesn't seem to be any real step on the horizon, but there we go. And so the bottom line is that the algorithms that Google uses, you know, I watched one of the top data scientists at Google in a talk just a couple of years ago saying the same thing, that the algorithms are from the 50s, and the only difference really is that we have more data and better data sets. And but this is the public relations. You know, yesterday I talked about how people were moving their money from the metaverse into AI. You know, and somehow they believe that AI is going to make the decisions. You know, I've been building models, thousands and thousands of models in direct mail where we could really see how it worked in the real world, and made millions of dollars, and almost none of my clients wanted to understand how it worked at all. It was very simple. I showed Dick Cabela how it worked, and I don't think he had a college degree. I don't know. But his staff said, don't show him statistics. He hates computers. Don't show him a computer. In fact, when we were presenting to Cabela's, they said, put your computer away. Quit using it in the presentation. And I said, I'm only using it as a slide projector. And they said, do you want to get this? Do you want to get our account or not? Put the computer away and just talk to Dick. Okay. And we got it. And, you know, and when I showed him the way it worked and how the numbers worked, it was, yep, that's what fishermen are like. Okay, so you can't understand it. And if you can't understand it, and this is the biggest scam going now, is that the data scientists will come in and tell you, oh, we have neural net algorithmic, you know, fractal programming built for NASA and blah, 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 blah. And it decides who your best customers are. Don't believe it. Don't believe it for a second. You know, Miles Kimball did their new name, but we'll call them that. They let Google do a big study and start placing ads for them, digital ads, trying to get away from the catalog. And apparently they got a full refund because Google had no interest in knowing what actually they thought about who their customers were. They did it on their own, and it was a complete failure. And the reason is that machines don't have intelligence. They don't know the difference between a highly correlated variable that's complete nonsense and a powerful causal variable. The data doesn't tell them the difference. It doesn't tell them that this can't possibly make any sense. And about 90% of what I did in modeling was throw out variables that just didn't make any sense, that I couldn't think of a way, I couldn't think of a story to tell. And Professor Lemmer at UCLA and I chatted one time about his book and about what I did, because one of my clients said I violated every principle of statistical analysis that they'd ever learned. And he said, you don't violate statistics, you elevate them. You take them to the next level where they have to be meaningful. Statistics on their own aren't meaningful. And until they are, you don't get to theory, and you don't get to predict the future. And that's the way it is. Okay, I'm going to finish up my series that I did with Neil Patel's article from about a year and a half ago. Direct mail, 13 reasons why it isn't dead, and this is number 13. Direct mail is memorable. Okay, memorable. We're bombarded by advertisements, but direct mail stands out. Maybe you receive a box, and he told this story above in the article, inside your door that reads, breaking into your house is easy. They actually had door-to-door delivery on these mailing pieces, and they slid them under the door, and then they'd pop open. And it said, breaking into your house is easy. And it was to sell security systems. Now there's a creative mailer. Or a funny mailer from Kit Kat, again, also mentioned above, that says your candy bar was too chunky to arrive at your home. And you went to a store, and then they gave you, you didn't go to the post office. You went to a store, and they gave you a free sample of a Kit Kat bar or something like that, or a 50 cents off or something. Your audience won't quickly forget the message that you sent. Okay, this is the facts. Okay, this is what all the studies show. In short, studies show that responses to direct mail are increasing, not decreasing, and they're even higher among the Gen Xers and Gen Zs and whatever else the next things are. Gen Zeros, whatever. The young people are even more thrilled to get direct mail than us old boomers. The conclusion, expansion of direct marketing has not only enhanced the return on investment, that has only enhanced the expansion of digital marketing, has enhanced the return on investment for direct mail because it's different. Okay, it's easy to track. It's becoming less common. There's less noise. You can capture the undivided attention of your customers with its romantic appeal. It increases your brand awareness even if the first letter is unsuccessful. And this is a really important part. So, to sum up my points about direct mail, which I have never heard anyone else say, steal this and give me credit. With direct mail, you know who's getting mail, so you know both who responds and who doesn't respond. But you have engagement because we know it gets delivered. We also know that it gets looked at by a decision maker who must engage and make a decision, either to throw it away, to set it aside, or to buy. And that level of engagement does not exist in digital. Digital throws itself away. If you ignore it, it's gone. Direct mail forces engagement, forces a decision, even if they don't buy, and that gives us the foundation for machine learning. Because we know the difference between a known audience, some of who respond and some of who don't. And you don't have that with any other medium in the world. And that's why not only should direct marketing and direct mail be added to your marketing mix, as Neil Patel says, because it's different, it's more different than you know. So complementing your digital marketing strategy with direct mail, I say it's so different, it can be the foundation of your market research. Every brand should be doing mail as market research. And if you don't know how to do that, get in touch with me. Give me a call. wjohn@wdma.org. You can get to me. You know I write back. If you hit me up on LinkedIn, that's the easy place to do it. And you can go to wdma.org on LinkedIn. We have a group, and you can write me there. Easy to find. Okay, so here is a powerful article by Deborah Korn. Reality Check, the perception of printing. And she talks about how she listens to a wide range of podcasts. I think I listen to a wide range of, I like videos, but anyway. She was just listening to infotainment, just people talking about stuff. And the topic of sending personal postcards came up. The host and her guest were contemplating whether people sent them. Okay. Does anybody send postcards anymore? Or we might extrapolate to post anymore. Where does one get the special stamp? What about writing with a pen in the tiny allocated space? True. And the required trip to the mailbox or post office to send it. Well, you can double duty that one. If you go to the post office, they'll put a stamp on it for you for just a very, very small fee. It would take a lot of work to write and mail a postcard. It wasn't worth it. Okay. And I started thinking about that. I started thinking about mail as memorable. And I thought about the, the letters we used to get from our distant relatives in Austria, airmail. And they not only were they on super thin paper, but they were written in a very beautiful and fine script, not only this way, but then they turned the paper this way, and you could actually read, and they could put double, and they wrote on both sides, both directions, to maximize their postal investment. I'll never forget that. And they told us thank you for the stuff we sent. They were hit really, really hard after World War II, literally starvation in southern Austria. And when we finally visited them in 1971, and they were still wearing some of our clothes, which we thought was cool. Anyway, but the point is, I'll never forget that. I remember the letters that I'd get from my grandmother in college, and she'd send me a card, and there would be $1 in there, and she'd say, "Buy yourself a pitcher of beer." And I didn't have the heart to tell her that might buy one beer at the time. Thanks, Grandma. And she even sent me a tin of cookie crumbs. People say, "Well, those weren't." She sent them cookies. Yeah, well, they were cookie crumbs when I got them. And what is the return on investment Because it says it didn't provide, with all the work involved, it didn't provide enough return on investment for the effort. When I was dating my wife, she lived in Chicago, and it was still long distance phone to call Chicago, and it was $1 a minute or something. It was fairly expensive, so we wrote letters back and forth. And when we got married, she was a little disappointed and shocked that I wasn't like the person that wrote the letters. I was thoughtful and expressed my emotions in the letters, which I didn't do in the regular real world. I was in love, right? And she still has the letters, and she said it took her a while to understand that I was still that person. It's just that in the letters, she said, I fell in love with the person that wrote those letters, and I couldn't find him after we got married. How about that return on investment? 40 years of marriage bliss. 40 years. That's a pretty good return on investment, I'd say. And I remember lots and lots of letters. And here's the funniest part. You say, well, that was the old days. That's the boomer days. Okay, well, I looked on my table that I work at home, in my home office, and at the very top of the pile, I noticed this. And here it is. That's a birthday card. Sometimes they have the dates on them. But anyway, I think it's from this past February. And this it says, God knew the world needed a few more smiles, a little more joy, and a lot more love. And that's from my friend Patty, friend of more than 40 years, celebrating your birthday. A handwritten note. My kids do get me cards, but usually we get together, for birthdays, and we get together for Father's Day. So I'm expecting some funny cards. But Patty's like the only friend in the world that still sends me cards. How's that for memorable? I will never forget Patty, and I didn't have to even search. All I did was start thinking about memorable people and memorable cards, and it was right there on my desk, on the top of everything, right on the top. What's the return on investment on that? Okay? But these Gen Xers, they didn't care about any of the warm, fuzzy points we extrapolate from industry research, like I just gave you before, right? It was all about them, not about the recipient and the feelings about receiving a handwritten postcard in the mail versus an email or text or tag on social media. There's a growing disconnect between our industry and the world. It's with all of the reality is perception, and the growing perception is that mail is old. Now, I would say valuable. I would say treasurable. I said old, not over, not ineffective. And Donnie Deutsch said that the Eiffel Tower is just a lamppost with great PR. Well, it's in a nice context, too. The big park around it and all that. It's very, very beautiful. It's a nice neighborhood where they put it. So we think printing is innovative, but we have the worst PR. And when I started in direct mail, there was the Direct Mail Marketing Association. And the conferences had 15,000 people attend. And we called it the heyday. But I think now is the heyday. But then it became the Direct Marketing Association. And then it became the Data and Marketing Association. We had magazines. We had Target Marketing. We had a half a dozen magazines for direct mail. DM News, which could have been direct mail. But anyway, direct mail morphed into marketing, and because the definition was so vacuous, which I've argued for before, everyone does direct marketing now. Everyone measures. Not many test, and almost nobody knows who actually sees their ad, if anyone, if it's not a bunch of bots like we talked about yesterday. I encourage you to go back to yesterday's show. It's worth a watch. It was a powerful show. Okay? So we let others tell our story to define the value of print in a digital world and make false and misleading claims about tree killing and the debate whether printed materials have a sustainable strategy based on paper substrate, the kind of ink you use, and all the rest of it. Paper is the most recycled material in the world, by the way. Okay, tell them that. And you can ask Steve Falk about that. Steve Falk. He knows all about that process, right? You may wonder who on earth is still sending postcards. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the economics of mail versus Google. We're going to go right into the teeth of it. All right, and I have a great summary article. But anyway, so Deborah's, I don't know if she's heading off or in charge of this, but a new PR campaign that starts with you. And she has several tips. I encourage you to go to WDMA and subscribe about how to open your doors to the story of print and change the perception. But I'd also like to encourage you to support this channel. Support this page, support this show every day. Every day we talk about direct mail and direct marketing and how it works together to make millions of dollars for people and how there's nothing left. There's nothing else. There's no other show that I've found that talks about this with this level of content every day. Nothing in the world. So if you're a printer and you wonder why your clients aren't hearing about it, I encourage you to sponsor this. I'll put your print company down at the bottom of my slide every day, and we'll talk about you, and we'll talk about print and case studies and data and all the reasons why print is the most powerful medium in the world. I talk about that every day. Take any random, go to YouTube, take any random show that I've done, and there'll be print in it. You bet there will. Some days I only talk about how dumb digital is, but as an alternative. So I'm looking for sponsors. I put a lot of work into this. I've been doing it for almost 5 years now, and it needs a bigger voice. It needs some sponsors. And I am really, really hoping that we get some of the big printers and USPS and some of the people that are billions into print and I don't hear from. So if you have connections or if you'd like to, and just reach out to me and we'll talk about it. I get about, even without any help, I average about 400 impressions a day. Yesterday's was about 500, so it was really good. Okay, so I'm looking for that. I'm negotiable. We got 5 slots every week. Have a great day. Like and share. Get over to WDMA.org. There's a link at the bottom of every show. You click it, and you can get right to the WDMA, and you can join. Okay, support our efforts, and let's turn the Wisconsin DMA into the World Direct Mail Association, or at least direct marketing. Have a great day. Bye-bye.